last but certainly not least, I'm gonna swing it to my man JP Craddock. What's going on with you, Mr. Craddock?
Um, Nothing much. It's good to see you, brothers, this evening, as always. It's good to see y'all.
Good to see you as well. We're gonna kick it off with our normal segment, how we start the show, the good, the bad, and the ridiculous. So I want to throw one out to you all, and I want to get your perspective on it. And I think this is a very unique one. We're going back to the topic of what the Supreme Court did with abortion rights. And we had Rep. Matt Gaetz of Florida, who we've seen in the mail um, with the former President Trump and various things going on. But he made a comment this weekend at a conference, and I want to throw it out there and see what you guys think about it. And then I also want to give my own perspective. He said, "Why is it that women with the least likelihood of getting pregnant are the ones worried about having abortions? Nobody wants to impregnate you if you look like a thumb. And nobody wants to impregnate you if you look like a thumb." So we gonna start it off a little bit different because normally we go to JP and let him kind of wrap it up from a clinical perspective. But looking by the look on his face, I'm gonna swing it to him first this evening. JP, is that good, bad, or ridiculous?
Um, it's it's ridiculous. I don't even know how a politician could make a statement like this, and I'm not even totally sure what the hell this even means. Looks like a thumb. Is that some term that I'm just unfamiliar with? I don't even know what the hell that means. Do y'all know what that means?
He's just saying unattractive women ain't they're not getting pregnant, so why they worried about abortion rights?
Yeah, but the thumb part is a
Okay,
little.
check it out. You got a hand, right? What's the ugliest
Yeah,
thing on the hand? You
that's
gonna want
ridiculous.
right? Very.
Okay, so let me switch from this. Yeah, this is ridiculous now. Um, I don't. For him to say that it's women who have the least likelihood of getting pregnant, basically, I guess he's basing it upon their looks. This is just some primitive, foul degenerate who is clearly unpolished and unprofessional. Of course, he's in the
Who
Trump
hates
camp.
women? Obviously.
Yeah, he's misogynistic. And I mean, there's really not a lot to say about it. It's not even something that you can intellectually respond to. It's so primitive. So I don't really have any thoughts on it. Like the food's primitive.
Man, that's funny because I'm gonna kick it to Johnny quick. And John, the reason I wanted to go with you second is because we all know you hate stupid people. And Gerald just said this dude is primitive and stupid, basically. So I wanted to get your perspective on this topic.
I'm gonna say it's ridiculous, but it's a bad ridiculous because um, to say that a person looks like a thumb, and I'm saying this comes from a guy who um, has been alleged to chase after young girls,
Yeah, he's a
who's
pedophile.
alleged who has gone under after um, of legal age.
Hmm.
Allegedly, these things have happened, and so for this statement that uh, people who are not worried about abortion is very inconsistent as to is if it's someone who's not attracted to you is attracted to someone, but it's not based on a person's look as to why they're wanting an abortion. There's many factors here. You have rape, you have incest, and you're being so inconsiderate to the reason why ladies are saying they want abortion, and that's you have so many people who are not taking consideration the women's health. They're not taking consideration of other things. They're coming down and saying, "Oh, this is a way of birth control. This is the way just to get to take care of the population," and that's so far from the truth. and from this guy who's been allegedly messing with underage women, who has allegedly sexually harassed women. For this is very bold and very bad and is ridiculous, but it's a bad case. Ridiculous.
LV, I'm gonna swing it to you, bro. What's your take?
Well, when you first said it, I read it. I'm like, huh? And I was like, how is this fool even still in office? The alleged, I mean, even though he's not convicted, you would think the shame of it all, they'd have brushed him under the rug. But maybe he's a part of the Trump Republican side. Look like the Republican Party is about to split from some of the things I've seen. So I guess one half of them gonna be unscrupulous, give a damn about shit, and then you're gonna have the other ones that gonna they give a damn, but they really don't give a damn. But it's ridiculous, man. I mean, for him not to have anything more intelligent to say because of how they look. I mean, I don't support anybody belittling or whether you think they are attractive to you or not, because everybody is attractive to somebody. But yeah, I'm with Johnny Quick. It's a bad ridiculous.
I just Googled images of Matt Gaetz. And
who wants me to talk?
Well, this is a bastard who thinks he's pretty. Because I was thinking, typically men who make negative comments about the looks of women in this manner are men who think they got some pretty Ricky going on with them. And they feel like it puts them in a position to judge women in this manner, which kind of makes a bastard look a little narcissistic. To go so far, because he's probably trying to appeal to some segment of the population. Okay. And so to go so far as to degrade women based upon their appearance and bring that up in relation to the whole abortion issue speaks to how he views himself and how he probably conducts himself with other people. So the difference between arrogance and narcissism, well, there's multiple differences, but you have arrogant people and then you have narcissists who is like arrogance times 5 with meanness mixed in, to the point where they will be willing to be mean and malicious in order to advance themselves, or mean and malicious if someone is standing in between them and whatever their agenda is and whatever it is that they are trying to achieve. And so that's probably a little bit of what is going on with him. And he probably has a history. This was that fool in high school who was being mean to females. Like, it probably goes way back.
I want to throw out another philosophy, because I am going to say this is good. And I want to debate this with you all just a little bit. But let me explain to you why I say it's good. The Republican Party is a master at controlling the narrative. But when you think about the Republican Party, we never talk about the issue. We always talk about the narrative. It is a lot easier for me to get up and talk to women and say, you know what, I just don't think y'all attractive. So I don't think you're going to get pregnant. So I'm not sure why you worried about abortion rights, versus saying, as a man, why do I get to make decisions on your body and control your reproductive rights? It is much easier for me to switch the narrative and come at it and get you off topic, because I can almost guarantee you there is going to be a campaign from the Democratic Party talking about all people are lovely inside and out, and they're going to spend money and resources on things that have nothing to do with abortion rights, all because of this man's comment. Look at gun rights. We all know that the Constitution provides right to bear arms, but they've not made gun rights about guns. What they've made it about is your rights. They've changed it from people getting killed and saying the government is trying to take rights away from you, right? You look at voting rights. We all know that they try to limit the rights of black people to vote, but they try to take it from there and say we don't need these bills because everybody has the right because you've had a black president. So I would tell you, I would contend that Matt Gaetz is not actually narcissistic. I would contend that this statement is not actually about women. This is a way to change and control the narrative. So if I put that out to you and we look at it through that lens, would this now be good, bad, or ridiculous?
Well, strategies, because I was going to come to earlier, is it's a very good strategy because here locally we have a person, his platform about anything. I'm here to protect you against the critical. That's his whole platform, and that's again changing the narrative to reflect can win you over. It's and that's the reason why I get sick of this political season because it's never talking about the issues, and because what you said, Jonathan has a problem with stupid people. Well, politicians know how to work with the less educated because if you remember 4 or 5 years ago, Trump says he likes uneducated people for him. And for someone to stand up there before them and say, I like you because you're dumb, and you still vote for him, I would have an issue with that. But, and this
But
is
see, you're
when you,
not dumb. That's why you would have an issue with it. If you're dumb, it goes over your head.
well,
Right.
see, and that's
Right.
that's the part that really kills me is, and I don't want to call people stupid, dumb. Well, I'll use the word ignorant
Unless they
because that
are.
means uh, that means you're kind of less educated. Uh, Ignorant can be fixed. Stupid, and because a lot of people once they understand and get a little bit more educated, then their views seem to change. But going back to Matt Gaetz, he's what's considered incel in my opinion, and his views, yes, it could be a ploy to get you off topic, get you away from what's really going on, and get you to laugh and still keep you in his camp. But here locally we have a person who's running the now I have to admit this is the most I've seen a Democratic, or it could be a Republican because it's the primaries, but they put out an ad that says talks about him allegedly abusing his wife and child, and that's the whole ad. I'm like, our campaigning has gotten away from the issues and what are the concerns of
It's
the people.
personal attack.
We do personal attack propaganda, and whoever can sell you the BS the most is the one who's going to get your vote, and the person who can raise the most money to give you more BS is the person who's going to get your vote.
Best story, John. That's what it is. Whoever has the best story, that's who wins.
Well, that's the other interesting part about what Gates said, and even the fact that we're discussing it, because he's in the House of Representatives and he represents Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We are giving him a national platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he can only be voted out by the people in Florida, and we know the
They
Right.
people
we
in
know
Florida have,
they're
you know
some
what
of
I
the
mean?
fools in the shed.
Right. So now what he is doing is he's making this issue a national issue. And again, I can almost guarantee you, and we'll come back to this some point in the future. The Democrats are going to respond to this, and they are going to respond to him, and they're going to respond to him on a national platform, which is going to raise his platform. And why? Because nobody can vote him out but the people of Florida.
And the
So
other
he's going to
thing is,
control the narrative, and he's going to control the narrative in a way that he can't even be touched because the people of Florida have shown through DeSantis and the other people that they put in office that they like imbeciles.
So
Yeah.
you're basically saying this is all smoke and mirrors, right? But do you really think he is intelligent enough to have come up with this as a strategy?
He
Yeah,
might
because
not be,
it's
but
the
he has a
same.
team. He
It's
has
the
a
same.
team that would.
It's a Trump strategy. It's a Republican strategy. Again, when you go to gun control, when you go to abortion rights, all of these things are the Republican platform. So
Right.
do I think he's intelligent enough to follow the platform? Yes, I do. And this is the other thing. Even when you talk about Trump, even when you talk about Trump, and whatever your views are, let's not even use Trump. Let's go to George Bush.
I was gonna go
You
to
can
him.
say
Yes.
you can say whatever you want. You do not become the leader of the free world and be stupid.
Because see, with if Bush and they brought this on. That's right. Line. They had a try. They had a. It wasn't the word trilateral, but there was a three to get him elected. One of them was the vice president that they had in place, Cheney. There's two
Dick
other
Cheney.
strategists that were a part of that, and there was a cohesive movement. And this is I've said this before. The Republicans they play dirty. Democrats
Yeah.
want to stay above a board and be nice and friendly, and but uh, until elections have these gentlemen agreements, then we're not gonna have that, and Democrats are gonna have to play dirty, and then let people read their platforms and what they stand for, because nothing's about platforms anymore. Nothing's about what's good for the people and your constituents. It's like LV said, who could sell the best story?
And when you talk about on a state level, you do not get you do not win state elections through the electoral college. So
Yep.
he is convinced, however, what the majority is of the people within his state, that he should be a representative. You don't you I don't it's hard for me to say stupidity wins that race. So no, I don't think that he's stupid. Yes, I think that he's able to come up with that type of strategy. And when you look at again the Republican Party as a whole, that is their platform, that is their
Their MO.
strategy. So he's just following the course. Hey, gentlemen, it's time for us to move. We'll have some more conversation about that, but I kind of want to piggyback on that topic. Um, so today's perspective is, what is the impact of stereotypes on the African American community? And what about those that are held by the African American community? Now, let me explain to you why I proposed this topic, because I need to tell on myself. So I had a young man who, I'm in insurance, and we are working some hailstorms and things of that nature. So I had a young man call me, and he was telling me why he wanted to pay a claim, which wasn't making sense to me. So I told him he needed to tell me how he got into the policy. And his response, this is how he started off. He said, "Well, William, when he smacked his lips, I immediately said, this young man is gay." That was the first thought that I had. And not only did I say, this young man is gay when he smacked his lips, I had a vision of this young man in my head. And that vision, he said, "Well, William, I've never seen this dude before. I've never met him. But in my mind, he said, well, William." Immediately I had to turn and say, why do I have this stereotype just because he smacked his lips? I immediately thought that this young man was gay, and I don't know this young man from Adam. So it immediately made me start thinking about stereotypes. So LV, I want to swing to you. And if you and I are on the phone and you ask me a question and I say, well, LV, is that the sound of sexuality? Are stereotypes playing in your head when you hear that? Where you
Yes,
at?
yes, that would be a serious stereotype that would play in my mind. And if I was talking to you, my first thing, you like, what the fuck is your problem?
And that's exactly what he would have said to me too. Why you smacking?
You
Call
know,
me smacking your damn lips. Yeah.
but you know, as y'all know, we're friends out of this. This is something that we had discussed. It made me draw back and look at myself. I was like, whoa, and I think I'm the most PC person there, except when I'm around my closest friends. Okay. But I was like, yo, that's totally wrong to just immediately think that. And then on the other thing, why is that necessarily bad? I mean, if he is, so I mean, and that's where we are, where we get these stereotypes and misconceptions of, and then we get one little maybe hint, oh, that's that person, I'm gonna put them over here, versus actually getting to know people. We don't get to know people anymore. What we heard about somebody that looks like that, act like that, and we just assume that everybody's one and the same. I'm guilty of it too. I was like, I didn't tell you, but I was like, damn, I need to watch myself. So because I always try to give people, give them an opportunity. I give them rope. I give you enough rope to hang yourself. You might think that shit's long, but I might make it short if I see this shit the wrong way. But it in the last few weeks since that conversation, I have been less judgmental, because we as Black people, we hate for people to have this preconceived notion about us. Always stereotypes. We always say, we have to work twice as hard, because the first time around, nobody's really looking anyway, and they're expecting you to fail. Then you happen to get it right. Then they like, oh, light bulb going off. Let me give him another opportunity. They may try more difficult, and then you have to make sure you master that as well. And then sometimes you can win your way, and it's like it's all good. But that's a wild one, man. That's something that I even had to talk to my daughter about a situation, because she's on the little cheerleading team, and it was something that was going on, and she was probably 100% correct. Didn't like how she put it, and because I don't want people to stereotype her to other people as well. One thing my dad always say: do unto others as do unto you, not as they do unto you. Something that I try to live by, and I'm trying to instill that in her. And this was a wonderful world, and we could just all get along and be kind to people how we want them to be kind to us, and then everybody do that, and it'd be beautiful. But we live on this hellhole called Earth, and that shit ain't possible. So I would love other ways. I'm all about trying to do it until you fuck over me. I'm your best friend, but you get one strike with me for real. Ain't no 1, 2, 3 strikes. You got one strike, you out the door. You don't know it, and shit, your ass out. Bitch, I'm gonna catch you out. And that's just, and I'm working on it. But
but bro, what you misspoke on one piece. You said they don't know it. They know it. When you cut them, they know it. I know you have, but I didn't see you cut somebody. They know it. John, I wanna swing this a little bit different for you. I mean, it's the same topic, same basic question. But I want to hear from you from a different perspective, because not only do I want to hear what your thoughts on my reaction to the young man speaking, but I also want to hear what is the impact of stereotypes on the young men and women that you mentor, and how do you coach them through that whole process of dealing with stereotypes and changing narratives?
Well, I'm gonna tackle it from that, and also older adults. But one of our readers asked, our viewers asked, did he have bass in his voice? So I don't know if you want to answer that.
No, he was a little light. He was a little light on the base.
Now, from my perspective, I'm gonna answer it this way: from 10 to where I am now. 10 years ago, I would be with you like, yeah, that's a little suspect. Um, Me now, I just did a capstone over overcoming negative stereotype for older adults. My views on stereotypes is a little bit different because we look at it from a different standpoint. We look at it from our youth. We look at it from minorities. We look at it from the older adults. And we're always, and even for women, because I don't want to leave them out. We have these stereotypes, these negative stereotypes that we have to overcome. And and what I try to do, and I'm not going to say I'm 100% successful, but what I try to do is judge a person based on actions. When I go into a situation, I even tell, especially when I have to lead them and supervise them, I'm not going to go based on what you said or what other people have said. Completely based off of your actions you show me. Now, if it supports what, and that's all on you. But I'm gonna give you the opportunity to are, and that's who I tell the youth. That's what I tell older adults. That's what I tell people in general. You be who you are, and allow me to form my own opinion about you. Now, more in depth with the youth, I teach them about code switching. That's really the bottom line because, and the youth I work with are majority minorities. And so I'll give you a situation that I dealt with. Um, I was working with the organization over academics, and I'm filled with a bunch of people who don't look like me or these five individual African American males. And I'm talking to them how we're into the future, how we're preparing them to be leaders of industry, how we are preparing them to be supervisors, how we're preparing them to be the next generation. And the boys even felt it. There was a kind of a, a feeling like how kind of you have the audacity to put these guys and get them to believe that they could be more than working for someone else, leaders of industry, and they saw that and it hurt them. And so my duty at that point is to build you up to show you you can do it. And last week we were talking about the fathering figure and different things. What gives me joy is one of the ones who was in the room. He wanted to meet with me Friday, and he's like, "Yeah, I got to meet with you. I want to show you something very important." Well, he's graduated from college. He wanted to show me he got a job offer, and yes, and on Monday he was moving. And so we sat down and had a talk, but who's proven these individuals wrong as far as being a leader of industry, going out here and leading by example. And he was one of the ones that was in that room and was kind of set back, like, you're just pretty much don't even count on us to do anything. You've already formed a stereotype about us, even know us. And so that's the reason why I best to make sure I don't stereotype anyone. Even sometimes as a community, when we see a crime, even on TV, I'll say it that way. When there's certain news reported on TV, a mass shooting, we automatically assume it's a white person. If they're talking about killing in the neighborhood, we automatically assume it's black on black crime. We form these stereotypes, and I've preached from day one. We have to start changing the narrative. We talked about it last week, the negative stereotype of black men not lives. And that's a false because we're more in our kids' lives than any other ethnic group. So we have to start taking charge and start stopping these narratives. Kind of like what you were saying with Matt Gaetz and his strategy. We have to start changing that narrative and quit letting people tell us who we are, being if we're minorities, being if we're part of the LBGT community, being that we're women, being we're older adults because people have this negative stereotype that older adults cannot be productive and can't do their job. But now you see in corporate America, because in the next 1 or 2 years, they will represent the majority of the workforce. And you see a lot of corporate America reaching back because one, older adults are more dependable. And then they have to learn that there's a process in training them, and they'll be, if not more productive than their younger counterparts. I know I've gone off on a tangent because I know there's other people want to say things. I'm gonna leave it at that because there's more I could talk about, but I'm gonna give other people opportunity to speak.
Well, it's time to swing to JP, but I want to do it a little bit different with JP because last week we talked about JP representing topics from the perspective of the victim, um, and being their voice. So I want this week to talk more. So I want to hone more so in on what has the impact of stereotypes been on you, Gerald. And when I say that, I mean from the time that you were a young therapist coming in and people finding out that you were an African American therapist, were they resentful of having to work with you? From people finding out the types of people that you work with, and being the proponent for victims, what types of stereotypes do you have to battle through? Have you had to battle through, and do you have to battle through to be the proponent for the victims?
Yeah. Um, I actually had to, that's a good question. I actually had to battle through two stereotypes. One, um, was because I was, I'm African American. And at the mental health center, the community mental health center where I started, you know, in my career, there was only two Black male therapists in the entire building. And so yes, when clients would show up and they saw this Black male, there, of course, was the question as to whether or not I could be competent to provide them with their therapy services. But the other stereotype was I was in my 20s. And so what I faced even more often was, how are you old enough to be a therapist? And that came from Black folks and white folks, and I was always able to laugh at it. But I remember this Black grandma who walked in the room. We were at this IEP meeting for her grandson, and she had never met me. And she walked in the room and she said, "Who is this little old boy? How are you a therapist?" With all these white people sitting around this table. So it immediately put pressure on me. Like, I got to bring my A game because she just pointed out that I'm too young to even be sitting here as a therapist. And so, yeah, that's the stereotype. I was thinking about that the other day because now I'm at the other end of the spectrum where I'm older than most of my clients. And, I kind of miss the days where people looked at me like I was too damn young to be a therapist, because now they like, he's old as hell. Here's the thing about stereotypes. Whether we want to admit it or not, there is a grain of truth behind most stereotypes. The problem with stereotypes is the exaggeration and the application of them to entire groups of people. When it comes to stereotypes, let's talk about how stereotypes come about. Stereotypes are born out of two things. One, the sheer weight and gravity of the act or the behavior. An example of that is, and Johnny Quick mentioned this, all mass shooters are white males. The gravity of a mass shooting, if you have even a small amount of white males committing that act, it is so huge and it has such a huge impact upon society that stereotype is going to be applied to them. So one of the things that stereotypes are born out of is the sheer weight and gravity of the act. The other thing that stereotypes are born out of is the amount of people in a group who exhibit that behavior. I can go back to the same example that I just used. When people look at mass shootings and look at how many of the mass shooters have been white, that's where that stereotype comes from. For us as Black people, when you only make up 15% of the US population, it only takes 1 to 2% of us doing anything, and then a stereotype is going to be assigned to all of us. Because it ain't enough of us in America anyway. So it doesn't take that many people doing anything in order for them to sit back and say, Black folks do this, Black folks do that. Now, when you think about stereotypes, truth of the matter is some stereotypes are positive. An example of that is Asians are good at math, science, and technology. And then some stereotypes are negative. An example of that is Black parents are harsh and abusive to their kids, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what I want everybody to think about is that even when a stereotype is positive, it still causes harm to some portion of that group, because that Asian child who is failing his math classes might be looked upon and judged more harshly from the perspective of, well, how is it that this, Asian kid is struggling with math because they are good at that? And so even when a stereotype is positive, it can put pressure on members of that group who do not fall up under that stereotype. And
And I'm sorry, I hate to cut you off, but let me ask you a question. Let me ask the so I used to handle auto claims, and I was in South Carolina at the time, and I had this woman, older white woman. I assumed she was white based on on hearing her voice, and then the
Mhm.
comments she was making. Now, when I'm at work, I can switch it up and I can articulate, and I can almost sound like uh, I would not be African American, whatever that
code switch,
means. So I'm
code switch.
talking to this woman. Yeah, so I'm talking to this woman, and she makes a comment about Black people because she cannot tell from my voice that I am Black. And I'm settling her claim, and I tell her, you know what? Don't worry about it. I will deliver your check. I will not mail it.
Hmm.
I rolled up on her porch. She would not open the door. And when she's looking at that screen asking who I was, she even called her agent to find out who I was. But it was the level of fear in her face that made me feel bad. Do we owe the people who place stereotypes on us a level of grace with the education that this is a stereotype and I do not meet it? Do I owe them a level of grace versus 6'2", 250 showing up on your doorstep and scaring your grandma where she looked like she's about to defecate on herself? Do
You
we
did
owe a
ask
level
right.
of grace with it?
You got
Yeah,
it
but
right.
the fear, I tell you what, if somebody had rolled up on my grandmother's porch and I had seen the level of fear in my grandmother's face that I saw in that woman's face, me and old boy would have been tussling on 7th Street right there in Kansas City, Kansas, because you don't scare my grandmother like that. Whatever she did, I don't care. So
But
do we owe a
wasn't
level of grace to go along with that?
Well,
hell no.
I want to say this is because I want to take it a little bit further, because you're putting it out there as if it's another ethnic group giving us these stereotypes, but I want to dig a little bit deeper. When we, as an African American community, buy in, accept, or support these negative stereotypes, like the one that bothers the hell out of me, because you mentioned this, is you sound good to be a Black person, or if you sound educated, if you're able to articulate, you are acting white. You are. It's not a case of I'm using correct English. I'm not using slang, but you have this image of you're not Black unless you use slang, unless you do it this way, or you less. So I want to dig a little bit deeper and say, do we even buy into it as a community? And do we need some grace for ourselves?
Well, I want to answer the first question. No, I don't think we owe grace to people who play into negative stereotypes. And here's the reason why I'm saying that. It's a natural consequence. The fear that she was experiencing was a natural consequence for her holding on to that negative stereotype when it came to Black men. And so you staying on that porch and her eventually, after speaking to her agent, her opening the door and her getting to see that this person who she thought was white over the phone, this person who she had so much respect for and saw you as being an educated person, that was a learning opportunity for her. And so screw the grace. Give an old woman a chance to learn. That's how, because there's two types of racists. There's the ignorant racists, and then there's the evil, malicious racists. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt that she was an ignorant racist. This was an opportunity for her to learn. So she needed to be scared in that moment, but it was still a learning opportunity. When it was all said and done, hopefully she would have reflected back on it and thought about it from that perspective. When I did not see him, he was just as good of a human being as me. I didn't become afraid and judge him as being less than me or dangerous until I saw him. But he's the same person that I talked to on the phone. So she needed to be scared in order for her to truly learn the damn lesson. If she
But
wasn't
the problem is, I doubted she got that lesson. I doubted that's what she took away from it because of the type of person she was.
But at least she had.
And I also knew, and I also knew that that's where you gonna go, because you cussed out Kevin Samuels at his funeral and you kick over tombstones. So, LV, what you?
Don't forget, he wanted R. Kelly raped on a daily basis.
And I was going to put R. Kelly on before we started too, y'all. I showed.
LV.
I had to tell you to pull the bunch out. Tell you to pull R. Kelly. But get saying that, has somebody scared your grandma like that? Y'all been on top. I want to ask you this: the whole time when you were on the porch, you were still speaking the same way you had spoke to her over the phone. I'm sure hostile or show your ass at all. So once again, she was afraid because of how she's come up. She done said all this bad shit about you. One, she's ashamed, and stereotypes that she's heard about Black men. She sees this large Black man. Oh, he's gonna rape me for sure because of what I said. For you to still stand there, be professional, and display what you really are, not what type is. If she's not intelligent enough to learn that lesson, then you know what? She's never gonna learn that lesson. And if that had been me, and you come out, you would have came hostile at me. I still would have been professional till you swung, and then I put your ass on that porch and then left the chair.
Which gives
and
me
all
that,
of that is true.
It was an
And all of that is
opportunity
true.
for her
But hold on
to
right
grow.
quick. But hold on right quick. All of that is true. But let me throw this piece in, LV.
No, before you throw that piece in, I want you to think about if her grandson, using your same thoughts, what if her grandson came out and wanted to whip your ass because of his grandmother? Because you said if someone came on your porch of your grandmother, no matter what they came for, you wouldn't want to tussle. So how would you feel if her grandson came out and wanted to tussle with you?
Oh, but that's the thing. I showed up
For
at the
being
crib
Black
ready to tussle.
on his granny's porch.
But I showed up at the crib ready to tussle.
Right.
That was the whole reason for going. You know what I'm saying?
And
that's the other piece.
Prepared for the consequences. She wasn't prepared. She wasn't prepared for them damn consequences.
Right.
And
that
you
was
know
the
what?
other piece.
Everybody got to pay the piper. And had grandson ran out there on the wrong shit, he would have paid that motherfucker too. I'd have got 2 for 1.
Yeah, he got that answer. But hold on right quick. That's what I was going to tell LV though. If LV's in Cali and he called me and say, D, somebody on my mama porch and I roll up on 13th Street, it's a problem.
I
It's a
don't think that
problem.
has anything to do with this, though.
But see, but
What we're
and-
saying is, we're saying it was an opportunity for her to grow as a person, because something that you and her had in common is you listened to the man smacking his lips on the phone and immediately assigned the stereotype of him being gay. She listened to you on the phone, assumed that you was white, but when you showed up on her porch, she assigned the negative stereotype. This is a tall, black male. I am in danger. But the bottom line is, the most that we can do for any person, regardless of the type of racist they are, ignorant or the evil, malicious type, is give them an opportunity to grow. If she grows, great. If she doesn't, so the hell what? At least you gave her the opportunity to grow. You needed to be on that damn porch with her.
And I don't know,
And
because I
here's
don't know if
something
you
else to
grow
think
it. I don't know if you grow in fear.
Fear is one of the biggest proponents for growth.
Depending
People
on
grow
what the
a
fear
lot
is
in
based
fear.
on. Depending
There's
on what it's
healthy
based
fear, there's healthy fear, and there's
now he's gonna
unhealthy
give you the
fear.
clinical.
For
now. Now, thank
example,
you.
take
Thank
the
you, Coleman.
healthy. What are you saying? What are you
on.
saying,
And her
Johnny?
shit was unhealthy.
No, hold on. You don't necessarily know that, because what started, you're focusing on the fact that she was in fear at first when she was looking at you and thinking you was there to rob her. But by the time it was all said and done, and she talked to her agent, and her agent explained that you work for the insurance company, you're a supervisor at the damn insurance company, and you holding her damn money, and you're the same person she talked to on the phone, that's where she could transition out of fear, and there was room for growth. But fear will help people grow tremendously fast. When you think about when people have a fear of failure, because I always had a fear of failure as a young person, but that fear of failure is what fueled me to study 5 hours a day when we was at K-State, because of a fear of failure. Oh, people grow from fear. Let that old ass woman be scared, okay? Because it opened the door for her to grow.
But this is my thing. This is my thing with this particular example. Because this is the way I would have thought about it. I would have been like, oh, he came here because of what I said. So he came here to scare me.
What?
I can't agree with you on that one. I can't agree with you.
That's
on
a
that
stretch.
No, it's not a stretch, because she made comments. The reason I went to her house and didn't mail that check
Because
because she made
towards
comments.
black people.
Right.
But she doesn't
So
know
when I
enough.
showed up,
She doesn't
She
know
know-
enough
she
about
knows the-
the
she knows
insurance
the same.
company's policies to know that it's
So
not.
grandma knew you came to
deliver
tussle.
checks.
That's what you're saying. Grandma
Exactly.
knew you came to tussle.
exactly.
No,
I ain't gonna
no.
give it up.
She would not know enough about your insurance company's policies for her to know that it was not
Wait, Gerald,
typical and
JP,
standard for you to show up to deliver the check.
JP, no,
I
you
disagree.
have to hear. You didn't hear what he said. He said she made some wrong comments towards black people, and he said, "I'm not mailing you a check. I am bringing
I
you
would
your check."
deliver it.
So he showed up. So now she's like, in her head, I make these comments about
No.
this black man's on. What's he coming to
You
do?
can't say
No,
no
that's
to that.
here's the reason why I'm saying
It's
that's
not
a stretch. The reason why I'm saying that's a stretch is because
That's how I would look at it.
Is really because
Yeah,
ultimately,
if I said something, let's for instance, if we started off with saying the gay, and so if he made a remark about a gay person, and then the person took offense to it, it's like, oh, for real? And let's say this guy's like 6'3" months about, he shows up at Coleman's door, is like, I'm here to do whatever. Now, what you say about gay
his
people?
Lips. Yeah,
right.
Wait, I'm glad. Here's the thing. I'm glad you used that example. I'm gonna come back to that in a minute. I'm glad you used that example. But here's what I'm saying. By the time she got through talking to her agent and this and that and this and that, this woman okay, she may be ignorant. She's not so ignorant to think that a professional, an educated professional working for the insurance company is showing up to beat up an old ass woman. That is a stretch. That doesn't make
No,
sense.
see,
She
but
would
you
assume
jump,
that you
you
showed
jump
up
from A to Z. You
to
jump from
get
A to
back at
Z.
her.
You jump from A to Z. Nobody said that she thought that I showed up to beat her up. She,
To
but I'm
tussle.
saying, but I'm saying, no, no, no. You're tying other things together because I said I was prepared to tussle if her grandson came out. What we're saying though is it's not a stretch for her to tie together. He came here because of the comments that I made. He intentionally showed up for me to see that he was African American. He scared me intentionally. That's not a jump. It would
Okay.
be a jump for it would be a jump for me to say, "Oh, she knew I came to fight her grandson." Well, that would
So
be a
it's
jump.
it,
That's
you
not
I
can't
what we're
would
use the
saying.
argue that I
that
would
That's not
argue
what we're
that
saying.
she
hold on,
thought that you showed up to teach her a lesson. Her being scared is a
it's just a natural
byproduct.
reaction.
I can
Yeah.
see her thinking that you showed up to teach her a lesson, which you did.
Right. And because I showed up to teach her a lesson, my question is, does she get the lesson or does she just see it that a black man who knew she didn't like black people is now showing up on my porch as if I'm being as vindictive as she is? What my intent is
It
at that
depends on what
point,
kind of racist she is, bro.
No,
right,
or both are
Racist.
possibilities. Both are
right,
possibilities. Yes, she's going to know that you did it on purpose, but the bottom line
exactly.
is it was still an opportunity for her to grow and learn because the bottom line is who she thought was a thug showing up to rob her or do whatever heinous crime to her was a professional from the insurance company showing up with her damn check. So even though, yeah, she knows you did it on purpose, but the ultimate lesson is still there to be learned. And
And
here's
what
the
I'm
thing about
saying is I don't
stereotypes,
know if she gets that lesson.
but at least you tried
Not for
to
you to
teach it.
determine, bro.
We don't have control. We
Yeah,
don't
you
have
can't
control over what people learn. And,
see
and
it either.
and we can't approach life from a perspective of whether or not we're going to get the end result that we're trying to get. We approach life with intention. Our intentions are good. Some people we're going to be
Oh,
able
my
to
intention
help.
wasn't good. My intention wasn't good.
Your
Your intention
intentions were
was
good. You
shut
wanted
her
to
ass.
No,
show her.
my
You
intention
wanted.
was my
Why are
intention
you
was to
saying
scare the
your
shit out of
intentions
her
weren't good?
Yeah.
Your
Hey,
because
Coleman,
my
how is it your
Coleman,
because
intentions
I
mine
weren't
heard you.
mine
good?
I heard you, Coleman. I
yeah,
did.
there was nothing good about my intentions.
Nothing.
Okay. Even if your intentions weren't good, typically a person who would do that to teach a person a lesson, that is a positive intention. If your intention was to scare the hell out of an old ass woman, then yeah, I guess your intention wasn't good. But even if that was not your intention to help her, it still was a learning opportunity. And when it comes to stereotypes, negative stereotypes, we have to be willing to present opportunities for people to grow, and we have to challenge ourselves to grow. Let's take the stereotype about the gay man and him smacking his lips. Now, here's the thing. We have a friend who is gay. Now,
Hmm.
here's something that I have noticed. In hanging out with him, because a group of us was hanging out and partying with him, when we went to a gay bar with him, I could have sworn I was in the damn gym. The stereotype that gay men are lip smacking people who are overly, excessively effeminate and dressed like drag queens does not fit with that population. Everybody in that damn club was buff, looked like they was on steroids, had been lifting damn weights. If there was two drag queens in the whole place, they were on the stage performing. And so being in that situation, it challenged that stereotype. And it's not just because of where we were, because every time I've hung out with him, that is what I have seen. To the point that now when I'm in Gold's Gym or Planet Fitness, I have to stop myself from assigning a new stereotype. Because as I'm looking at all the buff fools in the gym that look like they on steroids, they grunting and making all this damn her, I now have to stop myself from assuming that they are gay. Because from what I have learned, gay people believe in being in damn good shape. They tend to be very masculine. That stereotype does not fit. And so it was an opportunity for me to learn. I learn when I hang out with him, and I challenge myself to think outside of stereotypes. And that's what you gave that old ass woman to do. Okay, whether or not it was your intention, hopefully when she reflected on it, if she didn't have dementia, she would realize the person she talked to on the phone was the person on the damn porch, and that she was wrong for having that negative stereotype, and her old ass deserved to be scared.
Hey,
shitless.
And again, he's the one who pissed on old Tombstone. What's up?
Right. Hey. She learned next time she come to the door, she's packing.
Yeah. Next time she's gonna be like, no, mail that check, please. Mail that. Listen, man, we went over this evening. It was a good conversation, good debate. I learned this evening, and I agree with you, Gerald. Every time is a learning opportunity. I just hope that people are taking those opportunities and showing self-awareness as they move through life and move through various conversations. If one of y'all called me today and smacked your lip, as much as I think that I've learned and I've tried to grow, I'm not sure that I'm there yet. Because growth is a continual process. So let's continue to learn. Exactly.
What did LB say?
I'm still gonna
LB say.
Shit, don't call me with that bullshit. No.
Hey,
well, the lip smacking was unprofessional. That was the damn problem. Regardless of his sexuality, he's smacking lips while talking to a supervisor on the damn phone.
Yeah, but the way
it would have been a woman, it would have been unprofessional.
But it was a very natural thing for him. It just happened. You know what I'm saying? Listen, man, it's time for us to wrap up.
If I was talking to a woman on the phone and she smacked her lips, so no, I wouldn't get offended. But a man, hell yeah,
because that woman smacking her lips means something totally different to you. Listen, bros, we're gonna wrap this up, man. Let's swing around the room. Let's swing around the room and give everybody a last say so before we get out of here. Johnny Quick, what did it do?
Hey, I just would like to say I love our viewers and our listeners. Please like and share and keep on listening to us. I look forward to next week. I will host next week. So come on out because it's going to be quite interesting.
JP, what did it do, my man?
My final thoughts are overall, once groups are aware that a negative stereotype have been assigned to them, I think that most groups instinctively begin the process of trying to dismiss that stereotype. The bottom line is people benefit from positive stereotypes. People suffer from negative stereotypes. We have to be aware that even with positive stereotypes, people can suffer because some people do not measure up to it. So we just have to challenge our views and challenge those stereotypes overall. That's it.
Hey, some of the shit he said, some of the shit Johnny Quick said, bottom line, take people for face value and how they treat you. Don't go on what somebody told you about Johnny, what somebody told you about Sally. If Sally ain't did that shit to you yet, I ain't saying don't be oblivious and don't think she'll do it, but don't hold that shit against her because you don't want somebody to hold something against you. Maybe screwed Nancy's husband. You know, we never know what Nancy did to her, but don't nobody talk about all that. Okay, so at the end of the day, do unto others as you would have them do unto you in the world. And I love myself.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I ain't gonna lie, man. You
Go ahead, LB.
y'all for the old girl having a reason to go screw over.
LB rubbed himself, though. And let me tell you, that's it. Once he do that, that's
it's
it.
time to go, but that's a whole damn conversation. Hey, the thing that I want to say as we leave out is something that JP said. Let's make sure that we execute life with intent. And if we have intent and we have good intentions towards others, I think, like LV said, we all gonna come out in a better place. So we thank you for being with us this evening. I want to tell my co-host, hey man, I love you, brothers. I try to tell y'all that every chance I get. Let's keep on moving. Let's keep on living. Let's keep on having fun. Thank you, man. Johnny, quick, take us out, baby.
Whoa. How about them? Baby, Super Bowl. Oh, yeah, we are. We back, bitches. We back. Hey, Tyreek gone, but we still gonna be there. We back, bitches. We back. We back.
We miss him.
Peace.